Welcome to Navarrero's online showcase video. Today we are finally at the sawmill, although I'm not gonna be showing off much in terms of a yard here because that one leaves much to be desired. Right now it's basically one track going to either side of the industry, and the main part is gonna be about the connection here because I finally managed to establish at least that. And with this map, it's definitely more about the connections anyway, so let's get going and showing. We are gonna go up from the sawmill to the freight depot. Everything above that is what we already know, and I managed to make this 1% grade here. So it's slowly climbing to the side of the cliff and through the mountains, all the way up to the freight depot and even further than that. Going across the lake here, and yeah, I definitely have to still cut out a lot of the trees. It's really a first iteration of this, or more like the second one. I can show you the difference between the first and second one in a moment. And this is actually where it kind of split off here at this nice 7 segment truss bridge over here, which is only possible now since we can finally keep the grade that we selected with the spline on the bridge parts and also a few other different track pieces. So before that, it would always even out to 0. So at this point, I would have a kink here, 1% here, then just straight up going to 0 again, and that wouldn't work out too well. But as it is right now, these things are finally possible and gonna allow me to make things look a bit better and also use these a lot more, which I'm definitely quite happy about. But yeah, when it comes to my first iteration, initially, since I always build the track from the top down, I mean, if you do it that way, you'll always hit your lower level at some point. But if you build from the bottom up the mountain, you might end up just running into the side of a mountain at some point. So this is my preferred way. And in order to try and get the most out of this, I decided to initially just go into this little pocket right here. Not all the way to the back because it gets kinda pretty narrow in the end here. Not wide enough for a 60-meter turn. So there was a bridge here at some point, came back, and it was quite a bit lower than the bridge over here. But in the end, I didn't really need to get that low at this point. It perfectly worked out just continuing straight through here. So I decided to get rid of the detour and just make it a bit quicker. The run down from the logging camp all the way through here across the plains and everything to the sawmill is already immensely long. It's like 3 point something kilometers, even without all the curves and such. 3 point, or was it 2.8 or something? Somewhere around 3 kilometers straight lines, so that's already across most of the other maps. So for potentially one of the first things you want to do, it's quite long, but with how everything turned out, I don't know if I could have made it any shorter. I didn't know about any better location for the logging camp, unless I want to place it somewhere where there's not enough trees to really justify a logging camp. So it still needs to look the part, and of course sawmills need a lake to work out, and yeah, there are only so many options here. So in the end, that's what I ended up doing, and I think this would be fine. Definitely tempting to get quite a few logging carts going, just expanding the operations every time you make a bit of money. And therefore, I also needed to have a low grade, just so that I could still use Monty to pull the empty logging cars back up there. Also, of course, a requirement to be able to pull a decent amount of stake cars with the output from the sawmill up to the freight depot to sell the stuff. Just in case I want to go the the more classic route for early game stuff, this all needed to be accessible. Speaking of accessibility, I currently don't have a straight line connection to the freight depot from the sawmill. So right now the only way to get there would be to go past the switch here and then reverse into the freight depot, but I don't think that's how I want to do it in the long run. I also don't want to turn this into a Y and just have another goofy bridge across this little valley over here. I mean, having one bridge kind of looks nice, but two of them would be a bit off, and I don't know, could I maybe turn this into a Y? I think that would be a bit too sharp to work out. I'm gonna have to test things out, but one thing that I am considering right now is maybe just continuing up here, and then once we go around this bend, there's a nice little straight part where I could fit in another switch, which I think now also follows the grade of anything that it attaches to. So I could easily come up here with my 1% track and then just go off to the right, then go back lower down and just follow the contours of this nice little rolling hill and come down to the freight depot that way. I think that would look pretty nice in terms of how I utilize the landscape. I don't know how I would make a decent connection to the actual freight depot from that track, maybe going around the back and connecting to the other side. Not entirely sure. This is definitely not a fully thought out plan yet. I would also consider maybe cutting off the line that I took up here a bit sooner and then coming up on this side, but that doesn't really work because at that point there I'm already way above here, so I would maybe have to split off this line just before the bridge, stay in the valley and then have some horrendous grade at some point. Would be pretty flat for the most part, but that then likely go up to something like 3% or so momentarily to make the transition up here, so not entirely sure about everything. Then again, it's the freight depot, maybe just having another track going here in general wouldn't be too bad, and then having a connection cutting across here, I'll have to figure it out. There's likely gonna be a few iterations given that I keep playing on this map. Right now it's a lot of fun, but with the game in general I don't really, I don't have any long-term plans with it. I'm playing along as long as I like it. Anyway, so much about the sawmill. Let's now take a look at the iron mine, and for that we kinda need to go back to the sawmill. Because as you have maybe seen, there's another track going on from here. Specifically only coming in at the output side of the sawmill, and this is actually climbing up to the new location of the iron mine. Yes, I have two now, and I'm likely gonna be removing the one that I found first, because that one, the grade is a bit too steep. So right now on this part, the hills are a bit jagged here, so I needed to do a lot with bridging. It's gonna look a bit nicer on the upper parts. I also had two attempts here. The first one was with 1.5% grade. This one that I'm now following is a 2% grade, so slightly steeper, but still good enough. And yeah, from this point on, it's looking a lot nicer than in the jagged mountain parts. I'll also make it day again in a moment. But yeah, coming up here, we are going back into that massive valley that also houses our main yard and the cattle farm. Just going through here a lot deeper into this area than I would have wished, but this was where I finally found a decent location for the iron mine. So yeah, this is the new placement, pretty much halfway into that bend in the back, maybe a bit further out. But yeah, I would have loved to have it somewhere around here. I just couldn't find a place where it would look nice. So I went with this one, and it's at least very befitting for the industry, and it even keeps the little shed open here. Honestly, this part would have been so much easier to care for if they placed it the other way around. But having the entrance on the back, in most locations it's just gonna be inside the mountain. And you're just gonna have to imagine that it's actually has some opening in there, and people are coming in from the mine into that shed, and it's not supposed to have an outside connection or something. But yeah, with this one, it's working out pretty well. 2% is fine by me. And the reason I took care of that and even went to a different location is because in the end, I wanted this map to work two ways for beginners. You should be able to either choose to go to the wheat farm and cattle farm and make money and experience that way and build up your company like that, as I've done here, or really go the classic route, logging camp to sawmill to freight depot, make a bit of money that way, get a better engine, and then go to the iron mine, the smelter, and eventually also the coal mine. But yeah, for me, the iron ore mine is pretty much the beginning of the mid game, where you should have a better engine than your starter engine, but you shouldn't be expected to have something like really high end with a lot of tractive effort, so it still needs to work out with somewhat limited resources. And the problem here is that the original location that I found, while I still like this place, and yeah, I'm gonna quickly switch over to daytime again, it just didn't work out. I tried calculating what kind of grade I would need here, and I basically went to Railroad Studio, got the location coordinates for both of these industries, and in a theoretical straight line connection between the two, looking at the height difference, I would need a 4.45% grade or something. That's way more than I'm comfortable with for this kind of thing. I would always like to have ideally 1.5%, which is also why I tried this at first. But 2% is also alright. Maybe if need be, 2.5% can be dealt with, but that's already putting quite a bit of a restriction on what you can do with that industry. So yeah, 4.5% is definitely far above that. With all the detours you need to do following the sides of mountain, it would maybe be slightly below 4%, but that's still way beyond anything that I would like to see here. I'm still quite fond of the location here, so maybe there could be a version of this map where I put in another mine up here. Maybe the coal mine. Again, it would be quite steep. You could also just connect it to the smelter, maybe bring stuff up from the sawmill to the smelter, or have some base camp over here from which on you can also distribute the coal or something. I think there's a lot of stuff that could be done there, so that's kind of interesting. For this kind of stuff, I always like to have multiple options if possible. Doesn't apply to every single industry, but for some of the main connections, it's nice if it's not gonna be set in stone what you are expected to do. So that could be fun, but I also quite like the location for the coal mine being up in that hill. Let's take a quick look around here. So maybe then it would be a good idea to move the gold mine down here. When it comes to the gold part of the industry chains, first up, I'm not entirely sure if I'll ever get to that. It's gonna take quite a while, and once again, I don't have any long-term plans for what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to have a bit of fun. But I could actually see a version of this map where maybe I put another industry over here. Maybe the stamp mill, although then it would be very far away from anything else, so that's not ideal. But there's definitely a constellation out there where I only have the iron smelter in the snowy area. I don't like it too much here. It gets a bit mechanical at that point, or it looks pretty artificial with all of the slopes and everything. So not the best one in my opinion. Also very far up in the mountains, steep grades and everything expected, so not always that fond of it. I could definitely find a different location for the stamp mill. Would be pretty similar with how it would work out compared to my Pine Valley playthrough. Just having the backside near a hillside, and then you would have to just stick to the hill with your sidings up there. So not quite as nice as we have here with a little, or not so little ledge up here. But that's something that's only available in certain locations, so I'm pretty sure this part was specifically made for this industry, making it more difficult to place it anywhere else. But yeah, overall, I'm not that fond of this location. It's gonna be hard to reach, very far away from anything else. And yeah, cordwood might be a bit of a problem. I took care that cordwood is not too tough to bring to the smelter. That's 0.7% on the distance here, so that should be easy enough to lay out and still have a massively long train. But for the stamp mill, it's gonna be a bit tougher at least. So maybe putting it over here could be quite interesting. I don't want to move the gold smelter. It's on a lower ledge compared to the wheat farm, but somewhere in the same location. You've likely seen it already. And what I like about this one is that it kind of allows people to consider which side they want to go on when bringing stuff over to the express agency. Maybe going down to this level on this side, then going around here, or taking the other side, maybe making a steeper track and bridging across the lake here, who knows. But yeah, this one, there are a few things that I'm not entirely set in stone on. Same with the ironworks. That was one of the locations where I'm quite happy where it is right now, but I also wouldn't mind seeing it somewhere else. I'm not too set about it. And yeah, while I would like to make the logging camp run a bit shorter, in the end, the sawmill can only go into that many different locations here, and for the logging camp I want to have an area with many trees to justify its existence there. But yeah, if you have any input on the industries as you've seen them here right now, let me know about it. I'm also considering to maybe postpone the entire thing about me just releasing this industry version for us to play on. In the end, I'm already quite late on the whole thing. The map has been out for months now. And with me having announced my departure from this game almost 2 months ago and now being back, of course there's not too many interests in my videos on this game anymore. A lot of people likely just left because what I've done back then was pretty definitive, and yeah, I didn't really expect to be coming back myself, so there's that. Anyway, so much about this stuff here. One last thing I wanted to show you guys, and we better get started on that, was actually refilling my cars over here. So I expanded my tanker car train to 12 cars. It was only 8 in the last episode. The thing about this is that it's... Why am I still flying? I cannot seem to turn this off. Now we go. The good thing about this is that it now allows me to utilize my entire water well setup, which is also what I wanted to show you guys, so that's where we are going to be heading now. The bad thing about this, let me just make sure that I have all my things set up correctly. 12 loaded water cars is a bit too tough for the Monty to carry up the 2% up to this point again. So last time I tried this and bringing it over to the cattle farm, I needed to bring the entire train up as much as I could, which ended up stalling somewhere on this track. And I just basically pulled a few of the brakes in the back half, cut the train in the middle, brought half of them up here and then got the other half, and that's how that worked. So in the end, right now I'm just getting more water for the wheat farm, and in the end I'll just see how that's gonna go. I'm currently just working towards getting a better engine. I have a bit of money already, but I need to at least make one more delivery to the one more cattle delivery to the freight depot. So getting a bit more water to the wheat farm, getting more seeds to the wheat farm, and then I should be able to get another engine. And from that point on I should also be getting very close to unlocking better cars. I could get some better cars now, like the large bulkhead car for the strawberries and everything. But what I'm really looking forward to is of course the boxcar. That's a tier 5 as far as I'm aware. I'm getting closer to tier 4 right now. Let me just... okay, I'm still early tier 3, so that was a bit of a lie. Didn't remember correctly, but yeah, I need to get to tier 5 to get the better box kind. From that point on, I should be able to transport a lot more seed pellets and also, of course, the grain. So that's what I wanna do, but it's still gonna take a while. So I'll have to see about it. I could maybe use the old bulkhead cars just for the for getting some firewood, the same kind of deal that I had set up on my MIA playthrough, which I don't think I ever really did any deliveries of. It kind of just was necessary at that point, and I didn't keep playing for long enough until that was really needed. But also, I think I forgot to mention, but I of course went into Railroad Studio and just repainted all the cars here. Really just to make them not only look a bit better, but also to make it easier to recognize if I ever lost one. There's 4 blue ones in front, 4 beige in the middle, and 4 blue ones in the back again. So if one of them is removed by accident, I should be able to see that sooner than later. Yeah, I'm only gonna do the loading part here because I think that's a brilliant setup and it's working out amazing. I mean, it's kind of easy to come up with, just putting the water wells in a certain distance from each other and utilizing all 3 of them. But it's actually adding a nice unique touch to loading the cars, which kind of makes me dislike the whole water thing a bit less. I still think it's a stupid resource overall, but it could be worse. So we are slowly gonna make our way over there. It's already there in the distance. So let me do one preparation thing that I need to do here. Just open up all the hatches. Also, I noticed that there's still no water in the cars, and even if I fill them up, they are still looking completely empty. I'm pretty sure that the large water tank has the opposite problem, and there's just always water in there, and it just doesn't change depending on the load. So neither are ideal, and I'm surprised that they didn't take care of that yet. Okay, we are coming in here, and it should be a nice and easy time loading these. Especially in third person, since that makes lining everything up a bit easier. Just gonna line up the first car here, and everything else should fall in line. Oh yeah, I already have pipes out. Which would be a bit bad with how things work. I think it would rip the pipes out using the locomotive. There's something like that. I definitely went too far there. So right now with all those cars, it works a bit better under compression. So I need to come in quickly and make sure that I brake and they all just bump into each other. Right now they are under tension, just fully stretched out, and that's not really that amazing. So let me just give them the beans for a bit, and I think that should be alright. Yeah, this one is lined up. Second one should just be more in the middle here. I wish this would be moving a bit slower. Third one looking pretty good, but now it's looking even better. And now I can just open up the valves and let them all fill up. In the end, I don't care if I waste a few units of water here. I mean, it's just gonna gather back up again. Not really too much of a problem. And now the first car of every color is gonna be loaded up. Getting 5 here already. 6 in here. 6 in here. And this one, despite not fully hitting the entry point, it also filled up, so that's alright. So now to the main trick. I just cut the brakes, get on the regulator. Maybe I want to go a bit quicker, and just like that we are now loading the next set. So this is very handy and makes this one of my most favorite industries to load on, because this is just very convenient. I also added a little town here, which I think I already had in the past, just to make this look a bit more like something and not just have 3 wells in the middle of nowhere. I can still expand upon it, and yeah, maybe I will in the future. Right now I'm not really in the mood for decorative tasks, so only did a little here. Second set of cars is filled up, so let's go and bring in the third one. It's getting a bit more tricky because now the more cars between the engine and the car that's actually supposed to be loaded, the more slack you have to consider. But yeah, this is working out quite nicely. The one thing I hate about the water cars is unloading them. It's not intuitive with a water tank at the different industries being round. I never know where the actual beginning and end of that unloading area is. And yeah, of course, with these many cars, I want to do a rolling unload, but it's just it's a bit iffy with the entire thing. Anyways, these ones are loaded, so let's go on to the next set. I think that may be a bit too far, but maybe this might still be working out. Okay, I'm still getting some, but let's readjust just for the optics. But yeah, that's almost the entire train already loaded. So the last one was definitely not getting anything, but now it should be. And as soon as they are full, I can just close the valves again, and that should be about it. So this one is done. And yeah, I like that this industry doesn't have any required input, because otherwise with this entire thing I would definitely be wasting resources otherwise. But this way it just doesn't matter much. Of course, next step would be this, I was about to say dislocating the engine, but I think that's the wrong word. Disconnecting the engine, putting it into the turntable, running it past the rest of the train, and then going further down the line back to the wheat farm. But I'm not gonna do that during this video. I think the main part is what I've proven already, that this is a very nice setup for the water wells. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I'll be delivering these, or oh wait, no, I think I have actually too much water in here now. 36 is already in here, and these are, I think, 72 units. So what I'm considering right now is maybe parking the entire train on a track over here, and then just getting the flat cars in order to provide more seat pallets. So once I have the seat pallets in and some of the stuff is consumed, I can then just cut the brakes here and have everything roll down here. I think that might be worthwhile and should be a better way of handling this, without having to bring the train back somewhere or make another siding for these cars to stay on. or just coming back with the engine to get the train again after all. If I had another engine already, this would be a way easier thing to set up now, but I'll have to see how I handle the entire thing now. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this episode. See you guys in the next one. I don't know what I'll be doing there. Maybe I'm gonna put this entire operation into an episode. I think that could be interesting. But yeah, currently just working on getting a better engine and seeing everything else through from that point. So until then, have a good one. Hope you enjoyed and see you next time. Bye bye.